We had done a mock trailer with Adrian, and so I had him go up the stairs, enter his apartment, and he opened up a suitcase. And we did that to kind of test the atmosphere of the film and to see the character. And I knew right away that I wanted to work with Adrian. In reality, he was already cast because I've always wanted to work with him. I've seen him in different projects and films, and in the back of my head, I told myself one day I'm going to work with Adrian. And with the teaser, I knew that we could use that, package it, and use it for the crowdfunding that we were going to use in the fall. Now, February entered the fray, and we kept at it with production almost every Saturday, Sunday, sometimes both. And we focused on a 2-camera setup for most of the scenes, where we have our master and then our coverage shots. It was almost like a marathon, just chipping away at the scenes. Now, the one routine that I got into on this production, especially if we had evening shots or night shoots, I would go to a cafe, I would have my cup of coffee, and I would take my books. Sometimes I have my physical book and I have my Kindle. At the time in February, I believe I was reading the Odyssey. I started reading the Odyssey, and then I started reading the Lord of the Rings. And so I would use that time to kind of prime my mind to get into the creative flow. That was my process for the month of February, and I think afterwards I kept at it. I think as a filmmaker, as a creative, you need your space, and for me, drinking coffee and reading books, it just really helps me. I'd say per day, I maybe drank like 5 cups of coffee, which is a lot. On this project, I had 2 campaigns through Indiegogo. I used it for the previous project, Cut the Tech, and it proved very successful. And so I used the first campaign for the fall before we went into production. And then we had a second campaign during production. I feel crowdfunding is very, very much a tool to help the filmmaker raise funds and garner an audience. And so I still believe that it's very much effective for the filmmaker and the creative. But the downside to it is if you don't reach your goal, your campaign goal, at least Indiegogo gives you the partial amount that you raised. And so I'm thankful for that. And also at the same time, as a filmmaker, sometimes if you don't reach your campaign goals or your funding goals, you just have to move forward. You have to move forward and be creative and use what you have. You can't really get stuck in that mentality where I have to have all the money. Now, I've met some filmmakers where they stopped productions because of funding, and I understand that aspect. Especially if you're dealing with a lot of crew and post-production and what have you. But if you have the opportunity to find a creative way and a reasonable way to get the funds, or just work with your crew, like, hey, this is what I have. And that's what I've always done on my productions is I tell the cast and crew, this is what I have. This is what I could afford. And you just have to be honest. You have to be honest and forward with your cast and crew. And all, regardless if you have money or no money, you just move forward. You move forward and you make sure that you make that project. You make that film. Now, this project kept me occupied during situations that was happening in my life. And so I feel that filmmaking is a safe haven that you can go to. It's a place that gives you clarity and insight on art and life. And when we wrapped up for the day, when everyone went home, I sat in front of my computer and I got all the scenes that we filmed. I marked them off, and all the other scenes that we didn't film, I moved them over to the next production day. And I didn't want to rush the scenes. If you rush anything, it shows. And so from my experience, I learned that you just need to take your time and focus on the scene. So I'm very thankful that we took our time When I saw that the time was running out, I told the cast and crew, we won't be able to film these scenes. We're going to save them and we're going to film them the next day. Filmmaking, I would say, requires a lot of patience, and you just have to do your best to go with the flow and don't rush the process.